Hey guys, it's Landon with Redefined Horizons. I'm recording this video for a couple of my survey techs, Cosette and Nikki. We do most of our boundary surveys in grid here. And so when we're preparing a boundary survey map, like a record of survey map, we need to convert our record map distances with grid so they can be easily compared to our measured or calculated distances. And the ladies have been doing that in just in a calculator app, and I wanted to show them how they can do that in Excel. It'll be a little more productive, and we'll be able to keep a record of that if we want. So I have Microsoft Excel open. This is the type of thing that Microsoft Excel is really good at. So I got the spreadsheet open. I'm going to go ahead and just name myself a couple columns here. That's usually how I start. So I'm going to put the line number. All of our lines on our surveys get numbers, so we'll have the line number. Oh, let me think about this. I'm going to put the record reference. And I'll put measured or calculated distance. And then we'll have measured, then we'll have record or calculated record distance. And I like to make these bold, and we'll put a line under them, and we'll give them a really light shade of gray. I'll widen some of these out a little bit. So let's go ahead and we're going to drop in some sample data here for 5 lines. So I've got L1, L2. Once you get your first 2 in there, you can select those and then hover over this little grip on the corner. When it becomes a plus, you can drag it down, and it'll just sequentially count those. Okay, the record reference, we could just say, like, for example, R2. If you wanted, you could put the map name here. So let's say we got the first 3 and the last 3 are from that record, and then maybe R3 is the parcel. Maybe we'll make that a parcel map. It's just an example. And now we've got... You know what, I just realized we should change this. I'm going to just put this in parentheses so we don't forget that this is going to be in grid. Okay, then we're going to put these in ground. And then we'll put, we're going to add a couple more columns here. So we're going to put the record in ground. Then we'll have the record in grid. And then we can put the measured record difference, because if we have a large measured record difference, we want to take a close look at that. It happens sometimes, but it's a flag, it's a yellow flag, and we want to look at it. So now I'm going to go ahead and put in some distances here. I'm going to go ahead and highlight all these cells now, and I'm going to adjust the amount of precision. I'm going to say, hey, we want it to the 1,000th of the foot. That's a little silly. At some point, we'll round that down. We can round that down, but while we're doing our calcs, we can keep it that way. So now we're going to say, all right, what was the record on most of these? So let me think about this. Let me pause this and plug some numbers in. Okay, so I've got some data in here now. We've got our measured, calculated, in grid, and we've got our ground distances that are coming off of our maps. And so now we want to calculate the grid, and to do that we really need the scale factor. So I'm actually going to insert a row here. Put scale factor. I'm going to put combined scale factor. And we'll put that here. So let's just say we have the average scale factor in our state plane zone at sea level for this example. And I want to make sure this is shown to 8 places past the decimal at least. Okay, so now we can say we're going to use a formula for these two columns here. So we're going to say equals, that tells Excel it's a formula. We're going to say take the scale factor in B1 times, with the asterisk symbol, the record distance in D3 in this case. Now what we want to do is we want to put a $sign before the B and the 1. What that does is it locks, as I copy the formula down, it's going to lock it to this B1 cell. I don't want it to increment the cell number like I do on the D3. That's why I put the $signs in. So we'll hit enter. So that tells us when you take this ground and multiply it by our scale factor, that's your grid distance. That's the record distance in grid. And if you look, if I change my scale factor, so let's make it 3822, that value changes, right? So it's dynamic. And then what we want to do is we just want to know what's the difference. So we'll say equals. We want to know what is the grid minus the measured or calculated grid minus the record or calculated record grid. So that tells us we've got a 1700ths difference there. And we could actually set that up with some conditional formatting. Maybe we'll do that if we have time. Now I can just copy these formulas down. Okay, so you can see there's obviously a problem here. It's because I'm missing a digit. So let's try and get that digit in there. And I must be missing a digit here. Yeah, this should be 110. So now I've got my differences. Okay. So what we can do now is we can set up some conditional formatting. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to go down to 20 here, and we'll say format cells. I got to remember how to do this. Let's see. This is not where it's at. So let's cancel that. It must be right here. Conditional formatting on the home ribbon. So we're going to say we want a new rule. And we're going to say format cells based on their value. And we're going to say we want a 3-color scale. And we're going to use a formula. So format values where this formula is true. Oh man, it's been a while since I did this. Greater than, let's see, what happens when I hit this? New formatting rule. I want to say greater than 0.20. And then we'll format. And I just want to change the fill. You know what? Let's leave the fill the same. Let's change the font to be. Oh, I wanted to change the font color. Oh, right here, red. Okay, so that didn't work. Well, it might have worked, but I don't know because everything was smaller than 2/10. Let's see if it's greater than 1/10. Okay, and it might be because these are absolute values. So I'll tell you what, to fix that, we're going to tweak this formula. And we're going to get the absolute value of this, which I think is ABS. Yeah. So that's going to get rid of our negatives. All right, now let's go back to our conditional formatting. So I might need to do, I gotta change this. So it might be it's gonna be like equals, it's like whatever the Excel formula is for greater than. So let me see what that is. So let's go to formulas. Can we just go to math greater? Let's try insert function. Greater than. All right, so sometimes you just have to search the internet. All right, guys, I think Excel has a built-in way to do this. So we're going to come back to home, and we're going to manage the rules, and we're going to delete this rule. And then we're going to come up here to conditional formatting, and we're going to say highlight cell rules. We're going to say greater than a tenth. And now it's automatically done that for me. Okay. So this is great. We're actually going to save this as a template so that our folks don't have to redo all that necessarily. Let me make this bold real quick. We'll make this bold and italic. So let's go ahead and save that. And let's see where we want to put this. We're going to put it in RH templates, RH boundary. We'll put it in there, and we're going to call this grid distance comparisons. And there you go. Now we got a template, and my folks will be able to do this fairly easy, and we'll be able to keep a record of it in the project files, and we can go in and double check it as part of our peer review. So I hope that helps.